Hi, well here we are at lesson 2, and that was a little instrumental called E-Ride, which we're going to be learning over the coming weeks. It's a great fun instrumental to play. It's based on a 12-bar blues riff, and it's like I said, it's great fun to play, relatively easy to learn in your early days of learning to play guitar. And it's also a great vehicle for learning a certain type of guitar music called tab or tablature, which I'm going to be showing you first of all before we learn the instrumental properly. Now, tablature is a unique style of music to guitar players. It's a really logical way of reading music. It's quite simple to learn. You learn it quite quickly. We don't need to get involved in the mechanics of standard music notation, which takes really a good chunk of time to learn properly. So it's a bit of a shortcut, and it's no way does it handicap your playing as well. If you're only reading guitar tab as opposed to standard music notation, it doesn't hinder your music playing at all. I'd spent 30 years as a professional musician not learning to read standard music notation at all. So we will be learning a little bit of music theory in terms of note values, and I'll be throwing a little bit of music theory in, along the way. But like I said, the initial type of music to get you going is this guitar tablature format, and it's great, really easy to learn. So here we go. So when you see a blank page of tab coming up on your screen now, there's 6 lines there which represent the 6 strings of your guitar, and it's a bit like looking at your guitar the wrong way up, opposite way up. Okay, so the bottom line on the tab represents the 6th string on your guitar. Okay, so you just got to get used to reading it that way up. So the bottom line is the bottom string, the 6th string on your guitar, and subsequent strings, the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st are there represented on the page there as well. Okay, now the numbers that you see coming up on the tab now represent the fret numbers. Okay, and where they're written on the specific string that they're written, that is the string that you're going to be playing. So for example, the first line of this instrumental is coming up now. You see the numbers there, 2 zeros. The zeros represent just the open string played with no fingers on fretting the notes at all. So 0 represent the open string. It's the 2 zeros on the 6th string. So that's you play the first couple of notes, you play 2 open strings. And the next numbers we've got 3 and 4, which represent the 3rd fret and the 4th fret subsequently. And we're going to be playing those with your 1st and 2nd fingers. So fret 3 is played with your 1st finger. Fret 4 is played with your 2nd finger. So the first 4 notes now we've got 2 open, 3 and 4. And then we've got 2 open strings again. And 5, 4 then. 5 is going to be played with your 3rd finger. The 4th fret is played with your 2nd finger again. So those 3 fingers are taking care of all the 3 frets that we're going to be fretting. So things to avoid is playing 2 frets with 1 finger. We don't do that. So each finger is going to take care of its own fret. So I'll play that initial part of the instrumental, and it's 4 times through. So we go open, open, 3, 4, open, open, 5, 4. And that's played 4 times. So I'll just go through that. Okay, and then the next piece of music plays the same sequence of notes but on the 5th string. So if you notice, we've got 2 open written on that 5th string there, and then the 3rd fret and the 4th fret once again, but on the 5th string, so it's playing with your same fingers, and the 2 open again, 5, 4 again. So it's the same pattern of notes, but on the 5th string. And as you can see there, that's played twice through. And then for the last part of this first page of the instrumental, we're dropping back down onto the 6th string for the same sequence of notes. And that's the first part of the instrumental that we're going to be learning for this week. Okay, so I'm going to play through that beginning part of the E-Ride instrumental as far as we've got it now as a whole piece. Take it nice and slow. The slower you play it, the easier it's going to be to learn. And just one more thing to say. I hope the finger exercise went well that we learnt last week, because that's going to stand you in really good stead for learning this and subsequent instrumentals, melodies, riffs. So what I would suggest is, before you start to tackle this, is just go through that finger exercise a couple of times to warm you up, and like I say, get those hands coordinated, and get your muscles working, and then that'll make the instrumental itself easy to play. Remember what we said in that finger exercise about fretting the notes nice and forward in the frets, and also not cutting the notes short. So again, we need to avoid something like this. Okay, we're going to hold those notes down as long until we play the next note after it. So the notes all flow nicely, they all blend into each other, and it sounds nice and smooth and flows nice and evenly. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play it nice and steady. The music will be coming up on your screen to follow, and here we go. Okay, and one final thing to say. If you notice there, all the notes were of even length. Now, one place where tab does fall down is that it doesn't show you how long to hold notes on for, which is why we'll be using tab in association with a little bit of standard music notation. And over the coming weeks, I'm going to be teaching you certain note values. We don't have to read exactly the notes as they're written, but note values, for example, quarter note notes, eighth notes, half notes, whole notes, they're all worth a certain number of beats, and I'm going to be explaining that later on. All you need to know for this E-Ride is that all the notes are of equal length, so no matter how fast or slow you play them, all the notes have to be of equal length. Right, so on with the second part of the lesson now, and we're going to be looking at the chords that we learned in lesson 1, the 3 major chords A, D and E. We're going to look at putting those into a chord progression. So first of all, before we get onto that, it's probably be a good idea just to have a quick run through the shapes before. So A major we've got there, D major, and E major. Okay, so first of all, just to explain how chord progressions are put together. Now, all music is arranged into what we call bars. And bars are like little boxes that are all joined together. And within those bars, we have a certain number of beats that are represented here with a little diagonal slash there, which represents the beats, but it also represents the down strums when you're strumming the chords. And all bars have a certain number of beats inside them. And for this chord progression, this has 4 beats per bar. Most of music, and particularly rock and pop tunes, are based on what we call common time, which have 4 beats per bar, which is why I was asking you last week to count in groups of 4. So as you can see, each bar contains 4 beats or 4 strums, which we can like represent with the slashes, like I said, to represent the down strums. And then at the top of each bar, we write the name of the chord. Now we're starting on the A chord here, which is written on the first bar, and we don't write any other chords there until the chord changes after, in this case, after 4 bars. So we write the name of the chord at the beginning of the first bar, and we play that chord for the 4 bars following it. So we've got 4 bars of 4 strums on that A, okay, which goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then this is where the chord changes on the 5th bar, and we're changing to a D chord, D major, and that's played for 2 bars. Again, don't forget, only four strings on the D. Doesn't matter if you hit the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then back to the A chord again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got a change to the E chord then for 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then to D for 1 bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a change to A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Followed by another change to E on the last bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we repeat that through again from the beginning. So you're going to play this twice through. And again, this is based on a very common chord sequence called a 12-bar blues chord progression. So 3 chords put together there in the 12 bars, which can be called a 12-bar blues progression, very commonly used in lots of songs and tunes. And this is how all songs are arranged. So all songs are put together in bars. So it's important to get used to that concept of counting in groups of 4 in this case, not always, but in many cases we're counting in groups of 4. So that's a little concept it'll be tricky to get used to because you're having to think of 2 or 3 things at once. So the chord shape at the moment, you're strumming, and then counting in those bars. So, you know, don't worry if you count it wrong to begin with. It'll all come together nicely as you practice. And another thing to say is that your chord sounds might not be perfect to begin with because they're still relatively new and your fingers are getting used to holding down several strings at once. So don't be too disheartened if sometimes those chords don't sound as clear and clean as you'd like. That will come with practice as you build up your strength in your fingers. Again, sometimes your fingers touch the strings underneath. Okay, which will stop it from ringing. Again, that'll sort itself out. Don't worry about it. Don't be too much of a perfectionist expecting every string to ring. If you get a couple that don't, the chord will still sound okay. And it's only a very slight adjustment and a little bit of practice, and those will come good as they go. So work your way through that sequence. And the hardest thing you will do as well is change from one chord to another. Don't worry about the changes. We'll tackle that issue in coming weeks. Just work your way through the bars. Important to memorize those chords, like I said in lesson 1. Don't worry if they're not quite committed to memory yet. There will be after another week, I'm sure, with those 3 chords. And then from there, your changes will quicken up. Okay, so I'll slowly play through that entire sequence then. And just remember, we're only playing down strums to begin with. The up strum will come in later lessons. So each down strum counts for 1 beat, and it's just a case of counting your way through the sequence, following the music on the screen there, and away we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just to finish off, finally we'll finish on the A chord, because as a general rule, we always finish on the chord that we started on, so the piece of music sounds finished. So just play one strum on the A chord to finish. Don't need to play it at that speed. You by all means play it a little bit slower to begin with, but try and keep those strumming patterns nice and even, those down strums nice and even, so they're all equal, because what you're intending to do with your rhythm playing and your chord work is to keep a steady rhythm or a steady beat. Okay, so try not to speed up or slow down. That's important. Nice steady rhythm, and see how you get on. Okay, so that completes lesson 2, and your practice schedule for this week then should be as follows. Begin with your finger exercise, and like I said in last week's lesson, try and progress it onto all 6 strings if you're comfortable with the first 3 strings, and gradually move it onto 4, 5 and 6, so you're getting a good full spectrum working along those strings there. That'll give you a nice little warm-up to prepare you for the first part of E-ride that we learned, the first part of the lesson. Again, take it as slow as you like. Important to get those notes nice and even, okay? Nice and even, so as steady as you like. And then when you come to you can gradually speed that up, keeping those notes nice and even. Then moving on to the chord sequence then that we learnt. Obviously just keeping working those chords and the changes. Don't worry about speed, don't worry about the quality of the chord, that all come with practice. Just make sure you get your shapes, and counting through the bars, try and count through them accurately. And then, like I said, the changes will gradually speed up, and the quality of your chords will improve, which we'll be working on all importantly in the coming lessons. Have a good week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.